Hi everyone, welcome to another Disney video with me, Fleur Charms. So today I'm going to be talking to you about FastPasses. So when it comes to FastPasses, I'm going to give you a really quick overview. There's two different types of FastPasses, so I'm going to be focusing on Walt Disney World in Orlando and Disneyland Paris in Paris. So in Walt Disney World in Orlando they have FastPass Plus. FastPass Plus is an online system where all your FastPasses are booked up before you go on your holiday and you know all your FastPasses that you've got. Now Disneyland Paris still used the old system, which were the paper FastPasses. So the paper FastPasses work in that there are booths at the start of each ride, and what you do is there's a time above the booth telling you what the FastPass time will be, and you put your park entry ticket into the machine and it gives you back a FastPass ticket. So just as a rough overview, a FastPass, think of it as something that queues for you. So it means you don't have to queue for the ride because the FastPass has queued for you. At Disney parks around the world they have a regular queue and they have a FastPass queue. So the FastPass queue is what you would come back to when you've had your FastPass time. Now the FastPass times are 1 hour slots. So for example, if you were going to the Magic Kingdom in Florida, you might want to ride Splash Mountain as your first ride of the day. So depending on what time the park opens, you may have booked a Splash Mountain FastPass for between 8 AM and 9 AM, in which case any time between 8 AM and 9 AM you can go to Splash Mountain, and rather than use the regular queue, which could be up to an hour in length, you can use the FastPass queue, which is shorter and you'll be on the ride, you'll more or less walk on, there won't be much of a queue at all. So it's a system that queues for you. Walt Disney World, a bit more modern, they've got Wi-Fi all over the parks, you book them in advance, and that works in that you create a Disney login and you're then able to go into your account, add your park tickets to your account and choose your FastPasses. If you are staying on site at a Disney hotel, you can choose your FastPasses 60 days in advance. If you're staying off site, you can choose your FastPasses 30 days in advance. This means you've got to plan your holiday and which parks you're going to quite far in advance. But there's no problems with, you can wait until the day before if you don't know what park you're going to and try your luck and see which FastPasses you get. Of course, the bigger, more popular rides and the character meets, for example meeting Anna and Elsa, you really need to be a hotel guest and book that at 60 days out because they're very hard to get. FastPass time starts at 5 AM UK time in the morning, so you will have a FastPass day, which is, if you're an on-site guest, will be 60 days before the first day that you enter a Disney park. So on your FastPass day you can get up at 5 AM and book all your FastPasses if you want to. If you have a 2-week ticket, you can book 2 weeks worth of FastPasses. If you have an annual pass, you can book 7 days worth of FastPasses. For Disneyland Paris, less planning involved, more of a wing it approach. You can turn up at the park anytime, go to a FastPass machine, put your ticket in and it will give you a FastPass time. If you want to be more organised, you can go to the park first thing, and the best thing to do is go to the bigger rides, more popular rides, for example Space Mountain. So you go for early entry if you're a hotel guest, you get in the park at 8 AM, whatever time it may be opening to you, go straight to Space Mountain, put your ticket in the FastPass machine and you'll get a FastPass time back, because the earlier you go to an attraction, the earlier your FastPass time will be. So you may be at the FastPass booth at 8 AM, but your FastPass time will maybe be for 9 AM because you've gotten there earlier. The way it works with bigger rides that get more popular, something like Space Mountain where lots of people want to get FastPasses for it, the time will just keep going up and up. So if you leave it till say 12 midday, you might go to Space Mountain and you can't get a FastPass until 9 o'clock that evening. So that is how the paper FastPass works. So hopefully that's given you a bit more of a deeper understanding as to what the two FastPass systems are. So what I wanted to do, I've been going to Florida for years and years, and I've just recently started going to Paris. However, Walt Disney World in Orlando used to have the paper FastPass system, so I'm quite experienced with both systems. So I wanted to share with you some of my insider tips for how you can make the best use of your FastPasses, and I might have already mentioned some of these, but here we go. So I'm going to start with the FastPass Plus system where you book online. FastPass Plus booking opens at midnight in the US. In Florida, that's 5 AM our time. So if there's a coveted booking that you really want to get, like I mentioned, an Anna and Elsa character meet, you need to be on your computer on your FastPass day at 5 AM. And of course, FastPass day for on-site guests 60 days, for off-site guests 30 days, so you really need to log in at 5 AM to get the coveted bookings. And as I mentioned earlier, for 2-week long tickets you can book for the duration of your trip. For annual pass holders you can only book 7 days at a time. So last year we were annual pass holders, and this meant we could book the first 7 days of our trip. We had a very long trip, we were actually there for 7 weeks as part of travelling the US. So we could book the first 7 days, and that may have been longer than a week because we had some days where we went to Universal, so we knew we wouldn't want Disney bookings. So we were able to book the first week, week and a half of our holiday, and then what we had to do was, as you use a day up, then you can book another day, and that's how it would work with an annual pass. So I know I have stressed the importance of if there is a booking that you really need, you need to log on at 5 AM. But I also want to stress that you can keep checking back to see if people have cancelled FastPasses. So even the day before you can check to see if there's any of those FastPasses that you weren't able to secure left because someone may have cancelled. Their plans may have changed. Of course, with FastPass Plus it's a totally changeable system because a lot of people, they're trying to plan their holiday 60 days in advance, but you don't really know what you're going to feel like when you get there, so you might end up cancelling some of your bookings. In which case you should keep checking if there's something you missed out on that you really wanted. Just as an example, last year as annual pass holders we love Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but as you probably know, it can get queues of up to 300 minutes. It's insane, and that is way longer than we would ever be prepared to queue. So several times while we're over there, I think actually twice, we logged on the day before and we were able to get Seven Dwarfs Mine Train bookings purely because people cancel them or more FastPasses free up. So it's always worth to keep checking. It's the same with advanced dining reservations. If you weren't able to book for Be Our Guest, which is what happened to us, I just kept checking every day up until the holiday, and about 2 weeks before I was able to get the booking I wanted because somebody else had cancelled. Now, one tip that I always do that may not work for you is that I book all 3 of my FastPass Pluses in a row. So for example, one thing that I regularly book is all 3 of the mountains in Magic Kingdom. So Splash Mountain, Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain. And what I would do was I'd book all 3 in a row in a big 3-hour slot. So for example, we'd go into the park at 9 AM, so I would book Splash Mountain between 9 and 10 AM. Then for Big Thunder Mountain I would book between 10 and 11, and I would always try and book those 2 next to each other because they're the closest to each other. And I'd then book Space Mountain between 11 and 12, so that's one big 3-hour slot where we're going to do all 3 of the mountains and anything else we can get done as we walk between rides. And the reason I do that is because I think you can maximise the number of FastPasses you can do in one day. So once you've used your 3 pre-booked FastPasses, you can book 1 at a time online or at FastPass kiosks in the park. So if you get all 3 of your pre-booked FastPasses done in one fell swoop, you can move on and keep doing your FastPasses hour by hour. And this is what we tend to do, and we have in the past gotten up to about 7 FastPass Pluses a day, which is really quite good. You're getting a lot of rides done and you're not doing much queuing, which is always a winner. One thing that I have suffered with before, make sure that you write down your FastPass times. The reason for this is I've had occasions where my phone has gone wrong, or I just can't get my phone to connect to the Disney Wi-Fi and I can't remember what my FastPass Plus times are. So I've had to waste time going out of my way to find a FastPass Plus kiosk to scan my Magic Band and find out what time I was meant to be at a certain ride. So one thing you can do is if you want to rely on your phone, you can take a screenshot of your My Disney Experience app page, which has your FastPass times on. So I do that quite regularly, but of course if your phone's got a terrible battery, which is also my case, it's probably worth just writing them down, just getting a scrap of paper and just writing them down before you go into the park, even if you do it in the car or whatever. It's always good to have them to hand and not have to rely on your phone or the internet. And the final one that I am not sure if I want to tell you is that in the Magic Kingdom park, there was a time where it was notoriously difficult to add more FastPasses to your FastPass Plus list, because once you'd used all three, you didn't used to be able to use the app to book more. You'd have to go to a kiosk, and the kiosks were just rammed with people, hundreds of people queuing to try and get FastPasses, and because it was a new system, nobody quite knew how to use the machines, so the queues were massive basically, and you would be queuing for ages to secure another FastPass. So we discovered that there is a secret FastPass kiosk that nobody seems to know about. So I suppose I'll let you in on our little secret. So the secret FastPass kiosk is inside City Hall at Main Street. It's not so secret, it's not tucked away. It's in the corner of City Hall, and nobody seems to know about it because you can walk through Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, and there's huge queues for the FastPass kiosk where there's 5 or 6 in a row, and there was never anyone on the booth in City Hall because people, they just don't realise it's there, because it's also not indicated as a FastPass Plus booking spot on the map. So if there's ever a big queue, if you're there at a busy time, or if for some reason you can't use the app to book your next FastPass Plus once you've used your first 3, there is a secret FastPass kiosk inside of City Hall. Now we're going to move on, and I'll give you some tips on the paper FastPasses that you would find in Disneyland Paris. So my first tip would be, I did mention earlier, to get to the park for park opening and do the most popular ride. So I used as an example earlier Space Mountain in Disneyland Park. Go there first, get a FastPass, but as well as getting a FastPass, ride it once. Because you're there for opening, chances are there's not a big queue, so if the queue's 10-20 minutes, get in the queue knowing that you've got a FastPass, so you're going to get Space Mountain ridden at least twice in that day. To guarantee that you can ride the most popular ride twice in one day, secure your FastPass, get in the queue at park opening. For maximum use out of the paper FastPass system, make sure that you collect a new FastPass as soon as the time slot on your old FastPass expires. What you can do is, as soon as you've used the FastPass that you've got, head straight to another ride, put your ticket in, and get your next FastPass. And just don't waste time really. If you've used a FastPass, go and get another FastPass. You may as well utilise the system as much as you can to cut queuing down to a minimum. Now this is a sort of pixie dust good deed of the day, but if you're leaving the park and you've got a FastPass remaining, give your FastPass away to a party of the same size. So if Liam and I were in the park and we had a paper FastPass and we knew we were leaving, we'd gotten the FastPass earlier in the day but we were too tired to stay and do the FastPass, and we'd already done the ride maybe, we'd, as we were leaving, just try and spot another party of 2 and give the FastPass to them. Because lots of people have done that to us, spotted us and said, do you want these FastPasses? We've actually even had parties of 4 or more come up to us and say, do you want all of these FastPasses? And we've got to ride a ride 3 times in a row because they've given us so many FastPasses. So just for a bit of a good deed, if you know you're not going to use a FastPass, pass it on to someone else rather than waste it. A top tip from me, don't waste FastPasses on rides that have typically low wait times. So there is really no point getting a FastPass for a ride that only ever attracts a 10-minute queue anyway. You've wasted a FastPass. Unless you've got FastPasses coming out your ears, you've done every ride and you just don't want to stand in any more queues. Try not to waste FastPasses on low wait time rides. And finally, a bit of a common sense tip. Don't turn up to a ride at 10 AM in the morning, a popular ride, and put your ticket in the machine to get a FastPass, and the FastPass return time isn't till 7 PM. Because that means you've got to go between 10 AM and 7 PM with no FastPasses, because you can't get a new FastPass until your current one expires. So don't swan up to Space Mountain at, I don't know, midday and see that the FastPass time is 8 PM and get a FastPass anyway, because you've really, unless you're desperate to do the ride, you've kind of wasted your FastPass, because you've then got to spend between midday and 8 PM standing in queues all day, so you may as well just get in the queue for Space Mountain anyway. So try not to turn up too late in the day to the popular rides. So that's it, those are all of my tips for fast passes in both Walt Disney World and Disneyland Paris. I hope you learnt some things that you didn't know before and that I gave you some top tips, and I did reveal to you my secrets, so I hope you're grateful for that. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please do subscribe because I post a new Disney video every 2 weeks on Sundays at 12 PM, and every other week I post a lifestyle video, which tends to be something like a makeup tutorial or a Pinterest tutorial, which is always exciting. So if you enjoyed, please subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!